Good morning, Internet. It is time for the first mock draft Monday on the MJT Football YouTube channel. We are back. I don't know what camera to look at, Tony. Am I looking at you right now?
Yes, this
Okay, I'm
looks.
looking at you
Yes,
right now.
this is the one. Yes.
Got too many cameras on the freaking desk. But how you doing, Tony?
I'm doing great. Barbecue yesterday. Got some hot dogs, burgers, chicken, asparagus. It was a good day. Hung out with the family by the pool. Nice little Sunday. Yeah, had a birthday party on Saturday. Lots of fun. Summer's officially here. I will say this, that next Friday, when you look at your app, you ever look at the weather app on your phone when you're like, what's the weather today? And then you catch like 5 days from now what it's going to be, and you just start dreading it. It's just going to be like 109 degrees on Friday. 109. I'm not okay with that.
I'm sure it's going to be like that all summer, too, Tony. So,
yeah.
Buckle your seatbelt. Get in the pool, buddy. Get in the pool and invite Mike over to the pool.
Hey, you're always welcome. You know the door's open. You can even just come in along the side, jump in the pool. We'll be fine. Dog might get scared. You might get barked at and possibly attacked, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, summer's here. Feeling good about it. Watched a little Wimbledon today.
Out here watching tennis.
Yeah, I watch anything. Any good competition, I'll watch it. I'm missing the Coco Gauff match right now. So, but I'm excited to talk about fantasy football, that's for sure. Because I'm seeing a lot, Mike. The more fantasy football stuff that I see, the more I'm just like, wait, people are super high on Jaden Daniels, but think Terry McLaurin isn't going to have a big year. Like, when I just start listening to people talk about fantasy football, I'm like, I fully don't understand how they get to some of these processes, and then they never really go into depth about it. Like, I listened to somebody talk about how like Alexander Madison is worth a draft spot at the end of drafts, and I was like, the RB2
I don't know what team he's on.
He's the backup team. Raiders.
Damn.
I'm like, okay, I guess.
Falling from the sky. Guys, you guys tuned in right now and you want to join this mock draft, we'll give you 2 minutes to say something in the chat. DM me on Instagram, something, and we'll let you guys jump in here. As you guys can tell, spots are filling up quick. So we have hardly any space in this draft. If anyone tuned in wants to join us right before we start, put it in the chat right now. I'm giving y'all 60 seconds. Johnny, you want in, Johnny? Let me get Johnny in here. Tony. And football therapist is in here. What a coincidence, huh? Football therapist saw Mock Draft Monday and said, where's my invite? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, football therapist puts in here, he says, Daniels' massive rushing upside could get him to elite numbers, but passing efficiency could be suspect. I do like Terry, though. That's the thing, is that, like, I understand the point that they're coming from with the rushing upside. Could get him to, I don't know, in the top 10 somewhere, but he's then going to have to pass some and throw some touchdowns.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to benefit from that. So if you like that, and also too, like the things people like about Daniel's passing game is what he was able to do with Brian Thomas Jr., where Terry McLaurin is going to be able to be a similar stretch the field, deep receiver that he's going to be able to make plays to. Like, I'm not saying that I don't like him or do like him for fantasy purposes, right? I'm simply saying that, like, when people talk, I don't understand how they get to the math of what player that they're liking.
It should make sense in some type of way, like you're saying with the Jerry. I'm out of sorts here because trying to get Johnny Talks Football. Johnny Sports Network. I'm losing my mind here. The link here. But yeah, like you were saying with Scary Terry, you can't be high on Scary Terry, or the example that you used from last year a lot, Tony, with Tua and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. A lot of people are really high on the receivers, but low on Tua. It doesn't really.
Tua's QB16, but he has 2 receivers in the top 8. I'm like,
doesn't really add up here, but yeah. All right, I'm sending you a link right now, Johnny, so you can get in here, and then we'll start this thing.
Because there is there is something that's like intriguing about those players, right? Where I don't think anybody was on CJ Stroud last year in the drafts.
Yeah.
Like none of the rookie quarterbacks. People maybe liked Bryce Young better for NFL purposes, but then again, it wasn't like they thought that they didn't necessarily think he had the talent around him to thrive as a fantasy quarterback. And very few rookies get that sort of claim when they come in unless they have the rushing upside, which Daniels does. So, but it just like if you're
looking about this class, this class, the QBs kind of landed in good spots for the rookies to find some immediate success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in the cases of guys like Drake May or Bo Nix, like who people might not be, super on top of them, maybe their defenses are a little more, suspect. Although I think both those defenses are actually like pretty decent. Maybe they have to throw a little bit more. Maybe there's an opportunity for them to be playing some garbage time football against some prevent defenses and having like one of those like Blake Bortles type seasons.
We'll throw back to Blake Bortles. I was just working on a video the other day about Jalen Ramsey sometimes that he had in Jackson. What was the video about? Oh, it was, I think, if an all tall squad faced an all short squad. So like for the tall corners, I had Jalen Ramsey on the team. But I went back and was using like moments from his Jaguars days, and I saw Blake Bortles on there, and it was like I'd forgotten of Blake Bortles' existence until that moment. And I went, "Oh yeah, this man went to an AFC championship with this team."
So one year when I think it was before the defense got good, or maybe after the defense was good, and they started trading pieces away. One of those years, Blake Bortles was like a top 8 fantasy quarterback, because he would just in the fourth quarter in garbage time just absolutely be crushing it. So I think that there's room for people to succeed in that fashion. Because all you just need is opportunity. Opportunity can come from Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen being great. Opportunity could come from Gardner Minshew needing to sling the ball around in the fourth quarter, and he's got Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers and 2 good tight ends. Like those realities exist where all of a sudden it's like, wait, Gardner Minshew is a top 12 fantasy quarterback? And it's like, oh yeah, well, every fourth quarter he puts up 175 yards and 2 touchdowns because that's the type of game that the Raiders have to be in.
On repeat, week after week. Last chance, everybody. Last chance. Ronald, you want in
the draft?
Ronald Mikos. Send an
Great.
Instagram. It'll make it super easy for me, Ronald, to send you the link right now. If you just send me a DM on Instagram. You think if I copied and pasted the link to this chat, it'll work?
Ronald Mikos has a great you could probably I don't know. Mike, you're asking the wrong person about how the internet works.
You're right. Let's see if the link works in the chat, y'all. I'll put it right here. We have 2 people that want to join. If not, DM me on Instagram. But try and copy the link I just put in the chat, and if it works for one person, it'll work for all y'all. You just got to figure it out. Push the buttons.
You got to hit that camera button, Mikey. The
countdown.
I rarely go to the full screen on my computer, but I'm really digging how this setup works with the draft across the bottom.
Right? We're gonna fill this thing up. Screw Joe Morley. I'm glad you didn't show
up. This just is a testament of how much people love fantasy football and drafting. Like, first of all, like the thing that's funny is that we think we know anything, right? Like it's all just extreme speculation about how offenses are going to be run and who's going to get the most targets and blah, 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 blah. And that's the fun part about it, is the feeling, the speculation, the predictions, prognostications. But we really don't know anything before training camp starts. Like we just have no idea if Brock Bowers and how he's going to be used in that offense. Yeah. But yet some people think Brock Bowers is worth a top 5 pick at tight end, like going ahead of some other players that have been in the league for multiple seasons. And
I don't see how you could argue for that, especially with Michael Mayer still there. Michael Mayer isn't just bench riding all year. Like it isn't going to be like this crazy snap load for Brock Bowers. They're going to be out there in double tight end sets, but only one can get the ball on any given play. You can't throw it to both of them.
And
a lot of those times the ball's getting handed off. A lot of those times Brock Bowers is staying in and chipping the edge rusher. Like, his opportunities are not going to be as plentiful as they need to be for him to go off as a rookie.
So I forget which show I was watching. I'd love to give credit to it, but they were talking about how Luke Getsy was the passing game coordinator or something like that for the Packers when Devontae Adams was there and had like 178 targets. But I think a little bit of that is the function of Aaron Rodgers also knew, like, hey, I've got 17 out here, and it's good business for me to be throwing him the ball 15 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
Which Gardner Minshew should also learn very quickly. Hey, 17 is going to be open 75% of the time. Like, this guy is amazing at getting open. So,
you mean Aiden O'Connell?
I don't get this, Mike. I do not understand what is with the Aiden O'Connell thing. Like, Gardner Minshew is, and I know where I saw this stat or heard this stat. It was on the NFL, the ABC, NBC fantasy podcast, and they were putting out the numbers of Trevor Lawrence over the last 3 years. Oh no, this might have been on a Raiders thing Joe sent me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Gardner Minshew versus Trevor Lawrence over the last 3 years. Gardner Minshew is better than him across the board at everything.
I saw that post. Yeah, I saw that post. The stats
and it's like,
don't line up. Minshew's a top 32 in the league right now, in my opinion. I think he's a top 32. I think he's a starting quarterback in any given season in the NFL right now.
Yes, but we talk about this all the time, Mike, where it's like there's the guys where it's like, they're locked in as starters, or you need to have some future prospects. Like, Gardner Minshew is a top 32 quarterback, but you don't necessarily want to be building your team or planning or anything around him because of where the ceiling is at.
Yeah. And there's some interesting situations with the quarterbacks too in other places. Like, I'm seeing Bo Nix are leading that race with Zach Wilson.
He should be.
There was another one that was kind of interesting that I saw.
Sam Darnold is getting the one snap.
He's getting snaps over JJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing before we start this thing. And by the way, if you guys want in the chat, I just put the link in the chat. If you guys want in this draft, hit the link real quick. We got 5 spaces available, but I got to defend myself. Kay, coming from the Chargers Chat podcast, wants to know, like, Mike, why are you wearing a Rams shirt? Okay, we are working on a secret project behind the scenes. As you can see on the sleeve, right? There's a brand name there. And on the hat, we're working on something. This is just a prototype design for the Rams. I just randomly put it on. I didn't mean to trigger anyone with it, but
yeah. Okay, yeah.
There's Chargers ones.
His allegiance is still strong. At some point, people are going to be very confused when I'm wearing my Dan Campbell T-shirt, which I just love that design. I can't.
I literally have a life-size Justin Herbert over there, right? And he's on his knees, not for that reason, but because he's too tall. He's too tall to fit in the closet. He's too big. Our quarterback's 6'6", guys.
Time out, Mike. Everything you just said about the last sentence needs to be erased. You need to AI the shit and go back 15 seconds and drop it all.
All right. And the draft starts now. Team 1, you're on the clock.
Oh, the draft.
Christian McCaffrey goes first. I just coughed straight into the microphone like a rookie. Football therapist said, who do you guys think is the guy for the Chargers running back being fans? Tough backfield for fantasy. I agree with you, football therapist. I think Gus Edwards is going to score a lot of touchdowns. I don't think we're getting stopped on the 1-yard line 5 plays in a row like we did against Detroit last year. And I also think, and I'm on the clock right now, that if you're you go for that vulture on Gus Edwards late in your draft, but if you want a high flyer, you want a guy that's going to have a chance to break out. J.K. Dobbins is only staying healthy away from breaking out. I'm just saying it.
Yeah, I think J.K. Dobbins.
He's going to be free.
J.K. Dobbins needs to get through preseason, training camp, everything healthy. And then I think that's the running back that people are going to want. I do see a scenario in which J.K. Dobbins isn't healthy.
No-brainer.
and then the player is Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, that's someone that's sneaky too. It's probably gonna be undrafted in most leagues, unless you're in a really deep dynasty league.
So I think it's interesting here how this wide receiver thing shook out with CD at 1. I am curious to see how that gets affected by holdout situations. Like if he doesn't get there, he doesn't show up, he's not in camp. Damn it. I wanted Jonathan Taylor to fall one more spot. You got to be kidding me with that nonsense.
JT's gonna be such a beast this year. He's gonna be such a beast.
All right. So this is my favorite spot here because I can go so many different directions. But I think I'm going to go one more year. I'm really think that this is the pick that
I hate you guys so much. I hate you guys.
That Garrett
This is what
Wilson,
you were just talking about in the beginning of the show, Tony. This is what you were just talking about.
Yeah, one receiver can be fantasy relevant without the quarterback being draft worthy. So now here's my question: do I take? Yes, I am. There it is. What? There it is. There we go.
It is a beautiful pick. It's a beautiful pick, Tony, because both these guys are getting put in positions in their primes, top of their career. Saquon and Garrett Wilson to just have career years. Both of them are. Saquon's touchdown total is going to be ridiculous, I think, this year. And I just think, and I've been telling a lot of people, and I went on the 302 Birds thing, and I probably have already said this to you once, Tony. I just think that he brings the big play element that DeAndre Swift didn't really have. And I think that Saquon brings that element to bust open 50-yard runs. That DeAndre Swift, yeah, he had some open field speed, but for the most part, he gets his 5 yards and gets down with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift is a very good running back. He's a very good football player. Fantasy-wise, he's very friendly because of his ability to catch and make plays. There's a reason why we see other guys that are like super special. There's a reason why Saquon Barkley was drafted where he was because of who he is. And now he's going into a situation where he's going to play with the best offensive line. I know Kelsey retired, but I think that with the offensive line coach there, blanking on his name, what is it, Stoutland, and then Cam Jurgens is going to just fine.
He's known to be a guru over there, right, in Philly?
Yeah, like Jason Kelsey talks about him nonstop about what he did for his career. Mm-hmm. I just think that, well, there might be a downgrade at center. You're still going to have great tackle play. Guard play is still going to be really strong. So it's like, yeah, look at Ronald with a great thumbnail right here. Just a top-notch, ready for summer thumbnail.
That looks like a content creator's profile pic right there. I don't know. I'm going to check out the channel now. Ronald.
Good for him. Ronald Mikos. Yeah, he sounds like he's ready to party. Ready to just be.
This man, Jonathan Taylor, about to have a monstrous year.
Yeah.
As long as he can stay healthy. Worried about his ankles, but.
My plan was Jonathan Taylor and Garrett Wilson at the turn, but still happy with Saquon Barkley right there. So not upset with it. I do think the reflection of Sam Darnold at quarterback, we can see that with Justin Jefferson he was 1 last year, falling to 7. And I've seen a couple other mock drafts where Justin Jefferson is down at like 9. Travis Kelce, look at this. Who was it? Kay that was in here before? Kay, I don't even know who he is. He's wearing a Rams t-shirt and he's drafting Travis Kelce in the 2nd round. Who is
Where's
he?
Mike and what have you done with him?
Yes. What is this? I'm doing the show with AI Mike, making rational decisions.
This is the smart Mike. Why? I mean, Kelce fell all the way to 2.7. We're talking about the 19th pick in the draft. I know people are waiting for this fall off, and knowing me, the year I draft him, that'll be the year it happens. But why not ride the train when you can get him that late and get that positional advantage? I only think there's maybe 2 other tight ends that are consistently putting up numbers. And Laporte is one of them. He went before Kelce. I just got Nico Collins just to piss you off, Tony. You're welcome.
No, it's good. I really thought Nico would be there as like a 4th round player for me. Not, but I'm okay with it. My guy's still on the board. Ronald, don't let me down.
Do it again, Ronald. Do it
Yeah.
again.
I think K, I think you might be onto something here. Might have to revoke my friendship card from Mike if he continues this nonsense. Okay.
He's gonna fire the M out of the MJT. I've been trying to preach to fire the J for years, and no one will listen to me. And I go off the walls one day, and y'all want to fire me. Okay. All right.
All right. So I will say I'm on the clock, and I am very interested in tight end Trey McBride. Yeah, I've said many times I think he's the next Rob Gronkowski. Maybe not as big, but he's just a fantastic player in all elements of the game. And Kyler's back. But this guy going to the 3rd round when we were taking him in the top 10, he's worth the risk of potential injury. But now that Puka's there, we get maybe a little bit more one-on-ones for Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford loves to target him in the 3rd round. I think that this would be an absolute steal on draft day if this happened for me. And then it's going to happen, Mike.
Another receiver, Tony? No, James
Thought
Cook?
about it.
I was deciding between James Cook and Nico Collins, and I was like, which one of these will piss Tony off more?
So I like
incorrect.
James Cook higher than this. I think I forget where I had him in when I did my RB rankings, but it was definitely in the top 7 of running backs. We saw at the end of last year sort of the pivot that they made there. And I think that with the receiving core, the way it is, Buffalo can really focus more on the run. And this is James Cook breakout season. Passing game, running game. I think he's just going to has a chance to have a phenomenal year. So in the 4th round, I'll take him there. Ronald drafting my guy Trey McBride, who I was definitely considering in one of these 2 spots at the turn too. QBs, this is going pretty good. The computer taking Jalen Hurts right there. What is that? Is QB2? I can definitely see a path to him, like, Kellen Moore, the offense actually working out. I know it didn't work out for us in LA, but I mean,
we had no rushing attack, and there was nothing that he could do to save it, man. This is crazy because I picked Lamar because I seen Zay Flowers was like the 4th receiver down, and the robot auto drafted him 2 picks later, and he was like, had to listen. I was gonna stack him right here, and I was about to be like, look at this, Tony, look how perfect this has worked out.
Yeah, the
now
robot
I look like an idiot. Now I look like an idiot. So,
well, now you know what you need to do. You need to go and you need to have the his number 1 wide receiver, his effort. Mark Andrews is out there somewhere.
Yeah, but I have a tight end already. Like, also like a dumbass.
Well, that's why you don't draft Travis Kelce there, and you probably should have went with like Drake
a lot
London.
of other people. Yeah, a lot of other people.
I'm actually a little surprised with how high Drake London is going, because Fantasy Football Therapist, if you're in this chat, like, I think that's a great pick. I thought Drake London might be there, and I might be able to go Cooper Kupp and Drake London in the spot where I was at there, because there are quite a few running backs that I like when we get down into rounds 7 and 8 as, fine RB2s. They're probably more RB3, like if you're playing smart and playing safe. But in drafts where I go heavy on the wide receiver at the top of the draft, like, I feel pretty good. Team 9, 0 RB. But again, I think, this is the computer, but they could. I don't want to give it away because we do have a lot of people drafting in here. But I see a lot of names coming up on this thing where I'm like, Team 9 is going to be pretty stacked at wide receiver. David Montgomery was one of those names that I was looking at. There's another one on here that I would be happy with as an RB2.
And in your standard redraft formats, Tony, you draft these 4 receivers to start off. Neighbors and Harrison both hit. Now you're open to deal and go get what you actually need when you've gotten a little sneak peek at the season in week 3, 4, 5. And I like doing that too. I've noticed Joe does that shit too. He'll just draft a bunch of players knowing he's going to trade them later.
Oh, man. Don, I got Don and Ron over here really like getting dirty because I thought Kyle Pitts was going to make it back to me. And I was about to go on a long-winded speech about how this is the last chance. And I feel like I've been saying that every year for Kyle Pitts, but legit.
Please, Kay, do not do that.
All right. No, I can't draft that guy. I just can't. I'm going to go. Damn it.
Kay's threatening to tell a Thier on me. This is.
Oh no, that is. You do not want that to happen.
Yeah,
you do not want to get smoke from a Thier. Yeah. So now I've got maybe more running backs than I thought I would have at this point, but I feel good. I'm looking at tight end, and there's just a lot of tight ends that I like later, rather than trying to draft one of these guys in this spot here. And wide receiver, I'm gonna do it.
Oh, here we go again.
Got my guy.
Slot God.
Yes, and I think without Calvin Ridley, like trying to really Calvin Ridley messed things up because it was like, we have this player, he's really talented, but needs to be put in similar situations to really thrive as Christian Kirk. And I just think Christian Kirk, based on volume and how much Trevor Lawrence likes throwing the ball to him, the connection they have, I think is special. And I think it's a solid wide receiver 3 in fantasy football. Can finish within the top 25 fantasy this season.
That is his strongest wide receiver as of right now.
The other player that I was looking at was Amari Cooper, because I feel like every year we do the same thing where it's like, we're not going to draft Amari, and every year he goes a little bit later and all the guy does is produce. But there's just something about me not believing in Deshaun Watson ever returning to form. I know that I'm supposed to think like, oh, well, it's going to happen eventually. It's going to be here. I'm not sure that I believe that's going to happen.
You've kind of been a Brown supporter too, Tony, through the thick and thin. And now It's gotten a little too thin.
It's just gotten a little too like.
I don't ever want to accuse anyone of this, but when I watch Deshaun Watson play, it doesn't look like he's trying his hardest.
I don't know if it's not trying as much as like
not having it anymore.
Think about the level of confidence you have to succeed really at anything. But then to be a professional athlete, when that shit gets rattled a little bit, that's probably pretty tough. What's going on, Albert?
I was hoping Pollard would make it back around.
I think it's a tough spot. There's a receiver and a running back that I hope falls. If any of my drafts shake out like how they're shaking out right now, I can't guarantee that it'll be a great season, but it'll be a fun season that I enjoy setting my lineups for every week. If I get to pick from this, I would rather have you leave it bigger and scroll up.
I think I'll adjust it a little. Let me just make my pick.
Okay. Yeah. Make the pick here. Javonte Williams to team 5. The Broncos running back situation is going to be a nightmare for people to draft, because it's like, we think if Bo Nix is going to be the quarterback, potentially going to be a ton of checkdowns in that offense. One of those running backs, whether it's maybe Samaje Perine is still the third down back because of pass pro, but like one of those running backs is going to be in a situation where it's like he's getting a lot of little checkdowns. and being able to have fantasy relevance. Jaleel McLaughlin, Samaje Perine, but then, like if Audric Estime has a big preseason, does Javonte Williams even make the team?
I don't know who you cut there. You can't cut the vet that also plays special teams.
Well, because they also got the undrafted guy that everybody was excited about in Blake Watson. And now they're like 5 deep at that position. And Sean Payton did not draft. He didn't draft Javonte Williams. So that could be an interesting pickup for somebody. Okay. So Ron and Don didn't steal my player this time. Whoever this person is in the middle who took Najee Harris, they could take a long walk off a short dock.
Who did that?
What a dink.
What an asshole.
So I love the report that I saw from, I forget, but it was about Liam Cohen going there, and he said Chris Godwin is going to be in the Cooper Cup role. So that for me is worthy of a pick right there.
And he's done it before.
Yeah. And then I'm going to on this board, this seems like a bit of a reach, Mike, but if my guy's healthy,
I was just thinking about this too in my last pick when I was looking at
Eckler's
Najee.
healthy, like that's again, like he's the type of player where it's like, if he ends up being, if you draft one RB at the top in the first or second round, depending on where you're at, and then you load up on wide receiver and tight end, like had I gone with Trey McBride and had I drafted maybe one of the quarterbacks I was looking at in the 5th round there, all of a sudden you get down there and you need 2-3 running backs and you're looking for guys like Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler. But if Eckler for me is RB4, if he's a flex candidate, like now I'm looking at Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Austin Eckler there. I'm feeling pretty strong about this roster. Keon Coleman, love that pick. Thought it would be a little bit later, but Keon Coleman feels like to me like maybe one of those players you need to have a little bit of patience with. He's trying to figure out the first 2-3 weeks in the NFL. But when he does figure it out and he's got Josh Allen slinging him the ball,
Harrison, don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say anything, Tony, because I know you're sitting there on the end about 20 picks away. But I've thrown out the tight end early strategy for the 10th straight fantasy football season in my first mock draft. Out the window, just looking at what's left here. But anyways, this is what I've been waiting for, because I was betting that I can get them both and play the healthier and more productive guy that's getting more touches each week. Because both these guys, if they get the workload, Najee or Jalen, they're going to be fantasy monsters.
Yeah, I think Jalen has an opportunity to be a really good special back. Has one of those Austin Eckler seasons in him from a couple of years ago, where it's like 20 plus touchdowns, 1,600, all-purpose yards. He's got that ability in him. My thing is, I think a lot of people are higher on Pat Freiermuth and Jalen Warren than I am. Because when have we seen Russell Wilson doesn't really dump down to the backs that often, and he doesn't really mesh well with tight ends. Like Jimmy Graham, when he went to Seattle, we all thought that was just going to be a huge connection. It was going to help him, and it didn't really work. And maybe Jimmy Graham's play had fallen off. That's why he was able to go from the Saints to the Seahawks. But I don't know. This is another person. I wasn't sure when it was going to happen, but this is why Fantasy Football Therapist is the therapist of all therapists. Zach Moss, right here in this spot, is like the running back that's like a league winner type, where it's like, if all he has to do is beat out Joe. Oh, that's funny. All he's got to do is beat out Chase Brown for first team reps, and he could be a steal. You know, where you're looking at like 1,300 yards. All right, we're getting to a spot where we gotta take a look and see what's going on here. Okay, round 9.
Yeah, Zach Moss is a beast.
Yeeks.
What's the earliest
Now,
we're considering Lad K? I mean, he's already off the board here in this draft, I believe. Yeah, he went in round 7. I don't like him in round 7, to be honest. I'd rather wait on Josh Palmer, who I think is still in here.
Hey.
Yeah.
Shh. Be quiet about that.
And over a rookie court, and that is nuts. That is fucking stupid.
What?
Sorry. Round 10.
Yep.
What are you guys drinking? I should have drafted a second quarterback last round. What the fuck?
So I got Dalton Schultz, a player that I think when you're drafting down here has a great opportunity in front of him, where you got a lot of receivers out there. You got CJ Stroud coming into his second year. Even if we're only looking at maybe 5, let's say he averages 5 targets a week, they're all going to be against, really great situations for him because of the way they have to play Tank Dell, the way they have to play Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs. I think Dalton Schultz got a real opportunity to be a surprised, be a sneaky tight end in fantasy. And then I don't need to defend Justin Herbert. Like, the fact that he's going in the 10th round is stupid to me. So I'll take him, and I'll be extremely happy there. I don't know who this person. Oh, I do know who this person is. It's the same person. Ron, my boy Ron's been stealing all my guys, and now the latest is Josh Palmer. I think
you heard me say his name.
Somebody asked, who was it? Was it Kay that asked about Lad McConkey? I do think Lad is in that 11, 12, where you're like, if you are looking for a wide receiver 4 or 5, like, I'd feel better if Lad McConkey was the 5th wide receiver. And if you're somebody that has patience, where it might not be a big return the first couple of weeks, that's fine. But especially Chargers have an early bye this year. We could see something after like week 6, week 7, where Lad McConkey really establishes himself as a guy who's kind of figured some things out. And now all of a sudden Lad is 8-9 targets a game, 75 yards, 6 catches a week type of a player. That'd be great.
You think round 7's a bit early, though? That's what I was trying to say, is someone you're waiting on until around mid-season to really kick on. You're risking, that they ever do. And I envision my top 7 rounds, my first 7 picks, to all be in my lineup.
Yeah, but I mean, this feels like this. Harrison's draft feels in line with who Harrison is as a person. The fact that he's taken Rome Odunze and Lad McConkey, where it's like, it's a lot of rookies.
He just told me earlier in the chat the Chargers are doomed. They don't have no running backs or receivers.
Well, he drafted Rome Odunze, rookie, McConkey, rookie, Jonathan Brooks, rookie coming off of an ACL injury, and Caleb Williams, rookie. Like, that's 4 rookies in a row in fantasy football. And usually you want to get a couple of them, high upside rookies, but 4 in a row, that's just a lot. But that's who he is. He's a gambler.
Speaking of gambling, Harrison, here's your Chargers running back for you, buddy.
Fair. I think we're really gonna know coming out of training camp and preseason who the guy is. Like, I don't think we'll know, because they're gonna put pads on. They're gonna get after it. They're gonna, linebackers and running backs and safety 3 for our team, for our Bolts, is gonna shake out there. Cortland Sutton getting taken off the board there. He was somebody that I was hoping would be available on this little return to sender down here for me.
He was someone I was hoping would be traded out of the division, but it didn't happen. I want the Broncos to be stranded. I want them to be the worst team in the league next year. That's what I'm going for.
All right.
I want the Broncos to be worse than the Raiders, Joe, if you're still tuned in.
Okie dokie, Smokey.
I want the Raiders to continue that 10-game streak they're on or some shit versus them. It's just funny for the memes and the posts.
Khalil Shakur just got taken. Great.
I love Khalil Shakur.
I know. I was thinking he might be there.
He's like a little and it's crazy because Tyler Lockett got taken a pick before him, and I was just about to compare him. He's like a little Tyler Lockett 2.0 up there in Buffalo.
Yikes. Okay, so
you got to follow up another Charger after that, Tony. You got Eckler, you got Herbert. Let's keep it rolling. Mike Williams, put him on the team. Put him on the roster.
I don't, but
Mike Williams, your receiver handcuff.
No. I'm sorry I'm taking so long, everybody. This is ridiculous.
No, we'll set the timer to 30 seconds next week.
I'm going to take a big swing right here. I'm going to go with Jalen Wright.
Okay.
Somebody I think that I'm going to have to wait a little bit for, right? Injury shakeout, see what happens. But if I could catch that Devon A-Chain situation that we had from last year, I'd be happy to be in that situation. Receiver wise, like
Michael.
No,
and then tried to whisper so he couldn't hear me. But and then also there's sometimes an element in fantasy football where you can just see with your eyes where things are going. And I don't think Devon A-Chain is ever going to be like a 3-down workhorse back. And yeah, Raheem Mostert's still there, but why'd they bring in Jalen Wright? Probably to relieve Mostert at some point or be an emergency option if he goes down.
I'm not happy about this because I was hoping for Palmer or Shakir
about that either
to be in this situation, but I'm going to take Judy's upside based on the contract they gave him. You're right. Maybe he does shake out as the number one option, just based on youth, ability. Things just click for him there. Deshaun Watson, I don't necessarily think that he had to say for who they were targeting, trading for, or whatever. But if you commit to Jerry Jeudy, like, you're going to try and make this situation work. I'm interested to see if Stefanski pivots away from the running game a little bit. I don't think that he will. Like, it's just sort of who he is, what he does. But they do have a nice receiving core there. They've invested heavily in draft picks, trading, and you need to get him. You need to get that shit figured out quick. Basically, is what I'm getting at.
Long story short.
Yeah, you got a short time. I was looking at Xavier Legette there, but I feel like that's something that I have to be even more patient with. Like in a draft, he's, for me, more 14, 15, round 14, 15. That I mean, unless, again, we get to training camp, and then you know how I get emotionally tuned. Yeah. I love the clips of players going nuts at training camp. Like, I am so swayed by players making big plays in practice. I'm like, yeah, this is going to translate to the regular season NFL football. And then you draft the guy and it's like, no, it didn't work out at all.
Luke Musgrave and Freiermuth are still on the board. And some dumbass took a tight end in the second round in this draft. And Kate Otten is still here.
Yeah, but those are the type of things where I look at it. If I ever do draft a tight end high, I'll take a tight end that I think has upside, with the idea that Travis Kelce is a very tradable commodity, like where it's like, you can go, instead of taking that extra wide receiver, take that. And then maybe you suffer an injury, you need a running back, you need more wide receiver depth. You can trade Travis Kelce for, Stephon Diggs or something like that early on in the season. Like, somebody will make that trade.
Probably why you came in first and I came in second in the standings last year.
Well, there's many reasons why I come in first every year, but that's That's just one of
Well,
them.
we didn't come in first and second. Let's just keep that in mind. In the official book, like when we go back to Vegas and they say, here's how it finished. I'm going to finish in second. You're going to finish in third. But I don't count that because it should be you because you had more points than me. We both, I guess you lost a round before me, so you should be behind me. Never mind. Screw your strategy.
I am. I've had a bye 2 years in a row, and then second round of the playoffs, my team, it just flops. They're just out.
I went in there to see who the 4 people that were getting cut were. That's who I am. I just want to know who's getting the axe.
Yeah.
I saw our names on there, and I didn't even realize that you changed yours, but you changed yours in there to like first place times 2, all for nothing or something. And then I'm in second that says second place, ... again.
I don't know what I was so pissed when my team lost again 2 years in a row. In the first, I earned the bye. I best team in the league 2 years in a row, and then the team just flops.
This was a great warm up. This was a great warm up, guys, but I messed this up. With this shallow of a bench, I probably should have done 2 more roster spots. But
oh, I don't even. Are we getting towards the end? I'm not drafting defense or kicker. I'm not. This is a mock draft. There's no way. I don't give a shit.
Your team automatically loses.
My strategy every year works of the streaming defenses, and nobody ever agrees that it's the best way to go. Why are we wasting picks on draft day? Especially when I do these leagues where I draft in like August, I would much rather take a player that I think could be useful to me come the beginning of the season, and then just pick the defense that I want to stream against in the first round.
Another interesting add-on to that, Tony, is through training camp, guys are going to go down. We're going to see a hammy here. We're going to see an ankle there. There's no fighting it. It's going to happen, and those injured reserve slots come in clutch if you don't draft the defense.
Yeah, I've got good handcuff options on the board right now, but I've also got RB1 potential with my guy Kamani Vidal.
Like RB1 in the whole league, or just like RB1?
RB1 for the Chargers.
Like top 20 RB, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not to start the year. Like, I have heard that he is good in pass protection, but he's going to have to prove it at the NFL level. I mean, he played at like Troy or something. And then I don't think I need to swing on that tight end just yet. How many more rounds do we have left?
0.
We have 0 rounds. This is the last one?
Yeah. That's why I said I messed up. I should have added 2 more.
Okay, no, I think that's good. So then I will just go ahead and draft him now, because why not? Chiggy. Getting chiggy with it. You know that I think the tight ends or the Titans have some sneaky offensive value. Yes.
I was targeting Pollard when he went like a couple picks before me.
Thank you, therapist. Yes, making the playoffs requires skill. Being in first place 2 years in a row in the league is something that I brag about, and I'm happy to do it. Getting beat by the person who snuck into the playoffs and then had 3 players go off and got 26 points from their defense.
That the guy ended up winning the championship?
Yeah, he had a good team. He was first for a big part of the year, but still.
He was highest scoring, but I think his record was like 1 win less than us, so he ended up like in 4th or something, 4 seed with the highest scoring team.
Yeah. But
and I only lost because of another lineup error. Good job, Mike.
It's a new season. It is a new season. Yeah, drafting in a 13, 14 round draft defense and a kicker. I mean, none of the greats do it. Look at Football Therapist, no defense or kicker. Got my guy right.
Wait. What about NFL Mike? You got the greatest kicker in the league and like the 7th best defense? Come on.
49ers, you think is the 7th best defense?
Well, for fantasy, they don't force turnovers. They get a lot of sacks. They get a lot of run stuffs. They get a lot of 1-point stuff. But I'm looking for the pick sixes and stuff. Even though I drafted them.
Yeah, it's good. I think a lot of the defenses that were really strong last year, it's going to be interesting. Like, how do the Cowboys respond without Dan Quinn? How are the Chiefs as good defensively this year without L'Jarius Sneed, with Chris Jones being a year older? Like, I think they also lost the linebacker, Willie Gay. Like, there's situations in some of these defenses that were top notch. Can they repeat that? Will the Ravens defense be as good? Can the Steelers defense be more of a high end defense? I think unless you stumble into a situation, maybe I think it was like 5 years ago, the Patriots, like unless you stumble into one of those defenses where every week the defense is scoring like 15 points, doesn't matter the opponent. I would much rather just look for any of the worst 4 quarterbacks that a defense is playing and pick that team.
There you go.
And that to me is like, that's the strategy. Some weeks it works out. Some weeks I get like 4 points, but I usually get double-digit points from my defense.
So if you guys are playing in a league with Tony Tucker and you have roster space available, you know what to do that week, guys. Take out all the defenses. Snipe them.
Going into the playoffs, too, in my leagues, I will pick up like 2 bench defenses for like, assuming I'm making the championship, so that I have my defenses laid out.
Yeah, so no one else could steal it.
Yeah, like if I know that I'm locked in the playoff spot and I see that like, oh, the Dolphins defense and they're at home playing, Mac Jones or whatever, I'm putting the Dolphins defense there because I know that they're going to get Mac Jones on the road or Bailey Zappi or whoever it was in the past year. Good. This is a great start to Mock Draft Monday. I don't think we need to like sit here and go crazy.
Just feast your eyes. Feast your eyes, everybody. Enjoy the board.
On any of this. Like, appreciate everybody who participated.
Last minute drafters coming in clutch this week, Tony.
Anthony Richardson going in the 5th round. That's why we got a chance to get, like Herbert and Purdy and a lot of these guys that have proven that they're really good. Kyler went higher than I thought that he would. I think Trevor Lawrence has a chance to be a real steal in the 11th. Kirk Cousins in the 12th. Kirk Cousins is going to be interesting to see what he looks like in training camp and, how well he's gelling with his new offensive mates and how good the movement is. Never been a great mover, but, does he trust the surgically repaired Achilles?
Tony, I think you won this one. I think you won the first one.
I feel really great about the roster that I put together.
Team 1's really good too, and this is an auto drafted team. Can I trade with the auto draft?
Yes, you can.
Cool. I'm Team 1 now.
I think the thing that makes the Team 1 so strong, because I don't necessarily love Brandon Ayuk for fantasy football as much as I love Brandon Ayuk, the football player. Like I say it all the time. Like, if you give me a guy that I can compare what they do in a game to Hines Ward and be like a more elite, explosive athlete, like I'll take that player on my football team every single time.
Got any Steelers fans in here trying to get Brandon Ayuk in Pittsburgh?
If you're a wide receiver who's coming down, playing in the slot, and then helping block defensive ends, that's a player that I want to root for on my football team. And we've seen Brandon Ayuk do that. That's why I think to me, the 49ers would just be foolish to not figure out a contract with Brandon Ayuk. I just don't understand that at all.
Lay some people out, QJ. We're bringing San Fran to LA, and we need you to lay people out.
He's got the body type. If he just has the mindset to be that style of player, which he's going to be in the right culture for that. So
and we hate on him for his lobster hands all the time, but the dude's like personality seems like super no nonsense. Like he's gonna fit better with Harbaugh's system than he did Staley and Moore teaming up. And
I have no
whatever the
idea what you're
hell that
talking
was.
about. I have publicly never said anything bad about Quentin Johnston.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I
think he's
take back the
fantastic.
lobster. I take back the lobster hands joke.
He's a bright future.
Football therapist. Drake May's future wide receiver 1. Who's he talking about?
I have no idea.
I took it off already.
Maybe he's talking about Jalen Polk.
That makes sense.
Jalen Polk is a player in that second round that we talked about. In that, I liked Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Polk, Lad McConkey. They got Lad, and I'm happy about that. I think that this will be looked at as one of the best wide receiver drafts of all time, just because of the top end talent that was in this in the first like 4 players that
you've already got Neighbors, Odunze, Harrison Jr. Kind of hard to fail. Those 3 are so good. Yeah, Brian Thomas is in the perfect landing spot.
Exactly, and I think that's what it is. I don't think Brian Thomas was necessarily great in every spot, but I do think with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, that's something that could shake out nicely for him. Well, then you go down, you get into some of these later rounds, like Malik Washington ended up with Mike McDaniel. I mean, we could be talking about a guy who's getting 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns every year, like in that offense. Because at some point, Tyreek Hill cannot keep this up, or he's going to want too much money, and they have to move on from him. And Jalen Waddle slides into that Tyreek role, and then Washington has the opportunities there, which is why I really am a fan of his and Jalen Wright in Dynasty. I think those are 2. Anytime I can get to be a part of the Mike McDaniel offense, I'm all for it. I'm excited. All complete speculation. Somehow the best and worst fantasy advice on the internet.
That's what I was saying. I don't think you saw the story post that I posted for this to get people to come and join and do this stuff. I literally said, like, come get your draft picks criticized by people who don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's the internet.
The internet has told us, and people have told me to my face, the best and the worst. Like, there's no in between. There's no just like, hey guys, way to go. Really, semi-insightful, mildly entertaining. No, it's never in the middle. It's like, you guys suck and you should die, or
that was
you
hilarious.
Guys are the best.
See you next week.
Forward to this. Yeah. Thank you so much. I don't even know how mornings would have started.
A lot of the guys in the chat have been here for the Sunday morning wake-up calls that we do with Joe, but we just go off the cuff, y'all, on those Sunday morning shows. We don't come in with notes. We don't come in with nothing. We just say fire away, and we answer probably 100 fantasy football questions in 2 hours.
Oh, it's straight from the gut. It's how I'm feeling. Did that player burn me in a league the week before? Like there's some thought put into it, right? Like, how's the team going? What's the injuries like? All those. There's a little bit, but it's not like some of these people where they break down like number of targets, depth of targets, like who the matchup is. There's some matchup based decision making that we make, Mike, but for the most part, it's all straight from the gut, and we're probably a similar hit rate to the people who have millions of spreadsheets out there, because this is all for fun and it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a nice distraction from all the craziness that happens in the real world.
Yeah, and we'll really help you guys with your fantasy football starts and sits and advice throughout the season on Sunday mornings, but we're all going to disagree. So you just have to pick which guy you think is right and go with them, because we never agree. We have bets that I usually lose and all that. It's going to be fun. I can't wait for the fantasy football season to get going. I can't wait to start working on my fantasy football cheat sheet and stuff, really start to dig into last year's target shares, dig into last year's numbers, and build my charts to steal all the players off of Tony's draft board. That's my goal.
Shit. Yes, I'm excited. I did talk more about players that I like this year early on than I have in the years past, because the first couple years we started this shit, I would get so mad when people would steal my players or my opinions and then make them their own. I would get really mad. And then I just realized last year it doesn't matter.
You started safeguarding the players and stuff, like
Yeah, because
keeping it under wraps. Like
the first year we did it, it was like the most leagues I'd ever played in. I got invited in like 10 leagues. And then I was like, wait, why are all my guys getting drafted? And it's like, oh, because we talked about all this. They also like that player and they know that I'm targeting him in a certain area. And so they're taking him around before me. And I started getting pissed. So in the past couple of years, I've been a little bit more, holding certain players close to the vest. This year, it's like, who gives a fuck?
That's why we got to get some of our opponents in these mock draft Mondays so we can start studying. You know what I mean? Start studying the game. I don't want anyone to overhear us. So appreciate everyone tuning in. I was trying to end this at an hour perfectly, and I lost track of time, and there was only 3 minutes left somehow. But appreciate everyone tuning in. You got anything else, Tony? I'm going to call it here.
No, it's a great opportunity to start off the week, Mike, with saying something positive on the internet. Great way to start Monday off. Put something positive on the internet.
You just inspired me, Tony. You just inspired me, Tony. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for tuning into this one. Really great turnout for our first mock draft Monday. We'll be back next week. If you guys want the link early, send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll try and get it to you. You can send me a DM anywhere, honestly. I'll try and get it to you so you guys can get those slots ahead of time. If we're next to full next week, maybe we'll do a big one. Maybe we'll do a 14er or something like that. But we got to get full to do that. Joe should be back next week as well. He's a ton of fun on these mock drafts because he just goes for it. No fear. He's going to draft some ballsy picks just to entertain you guys. So we'll be here next week, Monday. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.
Yeah, who's Joe fading this year? Fade the Raiders.
Yeah.